Hello, this is OverlordBou, back with another ship review video, and today we'll be looking at the new Tier 10 French battlecruiser, the Marseille. She'll be entering early access in the upcoming 11.4 patch, hitting this week. She'll be able to be ground out when the early access is over, but you're able to get her with the early access tokens and paying doubloons. If I remember correctly, you have to pay around 20,000 doubloons normally for the Tier 10. But I wouldn't really recommend paying for the early access, but I do highly recommend the Marseille whenever she does come out, because I do highly recommend the Marseille. And I'll explain why in this video. Now, with that out of the way, let's go over the build, which will be shown on the top right. It's a standard cruiser build, but you focus on the AP since the AP on the Marseille is strong. For a tier 10 battle cruiser. If you want to focus on more tanky, you can switch to the heavy AP for extra health. Now for the armor and survivability. The Marseille has 66,950 HP pool. The armor scheme will be shown on the top right. The armor scheme is a 25mm bow/stern with a 36mm deck, 30mm upper side armor. It has a slightly above water citadel, very long and extends from the back turret to the front gun. As you're also able to see, there is also a turtleback armor as well, which will help you not get citadeled. Now the ship also has a 25% torpedo defense system. While good on paper, the Marseille's durability is subpar in practice. Her high HP pool can disappear quickly due to her thin armor and 60-second duration fires. Her 25mm bow is also overmatched by any BB. Any player trapped into a bow in position can quickly die if the BB exploits this area. Thankfully, the Citadel isn't easy to hit, like I was saying, due to the turtleback armor, but players should always be cautious when showing broadside. The Marseille will really rely more on her maneuverability to survive matches, which we'll be talking about later. Now let's move on to the main armament. You get three triple 330mm guns with 19.6 kilometer range with a 24-second reload. You have a 36-second 180 turret turn time and can fire 22 degrees off of the bow and 38 degrees off of the stern. The HE shell damage is 4,800 damage, 55mm HE pen, 35% fire chance with 108k HE DPM. The AP shell DPM is 218k as a comparison. The AP shell damage is 9,700 with a 23mm overmatch with a 45/60 degree ricochet angles. Now, she has an above average shell ballistics comparable to Yoshino or Golden Shower. It has poor accuracy by cruiser standards, only better than the Puerto Rico, but has excellent forward angles, but subpar for kiting. It does have one of the worst HE DPMs, but it has decent HE burst salvo and fire chance. It does also have excellent AP penetration. And also you have the main battery reload booster, so if someone shows you broadside or if someone DCPs one of your fires, you're then instantly able to do the reload booster and get a fire right after. Now the gun dispersion is shown on the top right, so you can do it. You can look at that, just seeing the shell ballistics. Now the Marseille's guns are fairly strong overall, since she has 9 330mm guns and heavy shell weight, which gives her AP excellent penetration. She's surpassed only by the Petro and the Stalingrad for her AP. She can heavily punish any cruiser that shows broadside, and even broadside BBs under 10 kilometers or 12 kilometers would be heavily punished. What sets her apart from other large cruisers is her main battery reload booster, letting her fire one extra salvo in between her normal reloads, letting her punish broadside targets with AP, relighting ships on the fire with HE, or even just quickly switching between ammo types. Of course, her guns still have some downsides. Due to her battlecruiser dispersion, she's less accurate than her cruiser counterparts. In fact, she's arguably the second least accurate cruiser due to her low 1.8 sigma. Only Puerto Rico is worse due to using battleship dispersion. Her HE damage output is also poor, having the lowest HE DPM of any tier 10 cruiser, though this is offset by her respectable fire chance and main battery reload booster. Marseille's players should use AP whenever possible on vulnerable broadside targets, switching to HE on long-range BBs or heavily angled targets. As a fun side note, Dunkirk, Brest, and Marseille all share the same guns and shell characteristics. Ooh, that is quite interesting. Now, for anti-air defense, you have 6 inner plus 2 outer flak clouds, with the long-range DPS being 196, mid being 207, and the near being 221. Now, her anti-air defense is subpar overall. While her continuous AA is mediocre, she partially compensates for this with a high count of 8 flak puffs. It is adequate against average CV players, but insufficient against skilled opposition. Her large size also doesn't help much either, though her deceptively tight turning radius can help her dodge some attacks. Still, she remains an easy target and lacks the armor or HP pool to weather continuous CV attacks. Now let's go over the anti-sub warfare. You get 2 plain ASW charges with an 8-kilometer range, with 3 ASW bombs that do 2600 damage with a 45-second reload. The Marseille carries the same ASW seen on other heavy cruisers with an 8-kilometer range. It has respectable damage and ability to store up 2 uses. However, she is a relatively large target with a short DCP, which makes her vulnerable to sub attacks. Overall, the Marseille generally doesn't fare well when fighting subs. Disaster. For maneuverability, she has a base speed of 33 knots with a 41.3 knot max possible speed. Woo! With a 770 meter turning radius with a 14.5 rudder shift. She has excellent top speed, with only second only to the HIV. It has a very good turning radius, superior to most other heavy cruisers. It does have a horrible rudder shift time though. The Marseille's maneuverability is remarkably good for her size, having a tighter turning radius than many heavy cruisers. With a max possible speed of 41 knots, she is the second fastest cruiser, only losing out to her French rival, the Henry IV. This gives her excellent mobility, letting her get into positions that other cruisers cannot reach. Her only weakness is her slow rudder shift, which renders her in situations requiring quick reactions. Let's move to the concealment, with camo of course. The surface detection base is 14.3 kilometers and aerial is 10.1 kilometers. For the best surface detection, it goes to 11.6 kilometers, and for the best air detection is 8.2 kilometers. Her concealment is also surprisingly good for her size. As you can see, she is pretty massive, just like your mama. Letting her get closer to her victims before unleashing AP salvos into their broadside before they can react. In fact, her best surface detection range roughly matches the range where her AP shells can start landing citadels on some BBs. However, her air detection is relatively poor, further compounding her issues in CV matches, so be prepared to, well, how do we say this? Just dodge. Now for the consumables. You have a standard cruiser damage control party with a 5-second immunity period and a 60-second reload time. Now you can choose between having a standard cruiser defensive AA or standard hydro. Of course, I would pick the standard hydro, but I'll compare the two. With the standard cruiser defensive AA, you get 3 charges base with 4 with a superattendant. You get plus 50% continuous damage, plus 300% flak damage with a 40-second active time and an 80-second reload. For the Hydro, you get 3 base charges with 4 with Superintendent. You get a 5-kilometer ship detection and a 3.5 torpedo detection. And it runs for 100 seconds and has a reload of 120 seconds. Now you also have a choice of picking between a French speed boost or the catapult fighter plane. Of course, I would suggest the French speed boost. For the French speed boost, you have 3 charges base, 4 with superintendent with a plus 20% top speed and 180-second active time and a 90-second reload time. For the catapult fighters, for the love of God, please do not choose this one. You get 3 charges base, 4 with superintendent, and 3 fighters per squad, with a 60-second active time and a 90-second reload. It has a standard cruiser repair party that heals 0.5% of total health, total HP for 28 seconds, 4 charges base, 5 with the ERE. I'm sorry, you get 5 with superintendent, my bad. The main battery reload booster, you get 4 base charges, 5 with the superintendent. It reduces the reload time of the guns for by 50%, so it goes for 15 seconds. It effectively makes it where you squeeze in 1 extra salvo in between 2. And it also has an 80-second cooldown. It has the same consumable loadout as your cousin Henry Forehead, and access to French speed boost enhances her mobility and dodging ability. The main battery reload booster is amazing, as it allows her to fire 2 salvos at a broadside target before they can angle. The rest of the consumables are typical for a tier 10 battle cruiser. Now let's talk about my overall impressions of the Marseille. Again, I would highly recommend her. She was very fun to play. I really enjoyed it. I would say she has an above average skill floor with a high skill ceiling. Randoms, I would say, is above average, though suffers in CV matches like pretty much every other cruiser. In ranks, you have a slightly mediocre. It can quickly punish enemies, but lacks utility to fight DDs. Also struggles in a 1v1 fight. In clan battles, it's highly a mobile ship, but poor survivability, and also has a low overall DPM, unlike to see significant use. So usually, we all know in clan battles, on the flank side or something, you want to have something like a Fenzia or Goliath. And now, since in this clan battle seems coming up, and that's starting the 25th, the super ships will be in the clan battles as well. So that slot will most likely go to a Conde. So will this ship be able to outperform a Conde? I don't really think so. The Conde has a quicker reload, way higher DPM. So I don't think this ship will be used in this current clan battles, but it could be used in a future one for the slot of where a Fenzia or a Goliath is. We could see for sure, because it does have really efficient AP, and the HE also is really great for starting fires and just getting damage over time. Now let's talk about the playstyle. The Marseille is the final ship of the French super cruiser branch as the ultimate French super cruiser. Ho ho ho! She shares a similar playstyle with the preceding ships, running around and shooting AP rounds into enemy broadsides. She is designed to use her high top speed to quickly outposition. She can unleash devastating AP volleys into their exposed broadsides with the help of the main battery reload booster. Enemies will either be destroyed or forced to retreat. Her remarkably great 11.6 surface detection allows her to quickly close to her enemies undetected, close enough to start hitting even some BB citadels, which is magnifico. While the Marseille can function as a typical kiting cruiser, this is not her strong suit due to her low HE DPM. I did focus on this match on using HE, which, as you can see later in the match, I was using AP on the cruisers, which I was having a ball with. I was really enjoying that. Her respectable fire chance does let her perform this role against BBs. As you saw, I pretty much farmed the Yamato this whole match, and I felt terrible for it later. Not really. But players may be better off concealed to move into better positions. Also, do not sit bow into an enemy ship. Do not do that. This ship is like a bait, with those oligons being in the front. It's a really big bait for you to do that. Do not do that, please. With a 25mm bow, you will suffer. So please don't do that, please. Or I'll if I see you doing that in a game, I will make you suffer. I will shoot through your bow if I see you doing it, because it is tasty. Anyway, while her turret layout may look suited for sitting bow in, her weak 25mm bow armor lets any BB pen her nose and sometimes her citadel while robbing her of her mobility advantage. Avoid staying bow in whenever possible. But yep, other than that, as you can see here, I am about to go down due to the CV, which in the end was my own mistake. I pushed in a little bit too far, but as you can see, I did a pretty good match. So let's go over to the score and see how I did overall. So as you can see, I did 181,000 damage with 4 fires and 4 citadels. I also shot 90 shots. Nice, nice. And how was I on the leaderboard? I was top of the team. Nice, very nice. Pretty happy with that performance. But yep, do you guys have any questions or concerns? Definitely let me know in the comments down below. I'm definitely excited for this ship to come out. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. But yep, I will talk to y'all later. Oh, big stretch, dude. Oh, big stretch, yeah.